Last month, I released an unfinished project I had been working on. The project was a review of the film Gremloids, but the movie had been taken down from YouTube, leaving me with no way to finish it. Luckily, YouTube user AnuaMV, I hope I pronounced that correctly, uploaded the full film to YouTube on the 13th of June. Many thanks to them, as I would not have been able to complete this project without their help. I've included a link to that video in the description if you want to watch the movie after or before my video. Anyway, on with my video. In 1977, Star Wars was released to critical acclaim everywhere. 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 Flash forward to 2019 and the series has 8 main series movies, the most recent of which grossed roughly $620 million, 3 spin-off movies, not including the television ones, 5 television series, not including the Lego ones, and it's garnered a fan community that will crack your skull open with the blunt end of a lightsaber if you mention the name Jar Jar Binks. As is the case with most franchises at this level of popularity, there have been a few parodies and spoofs over the years. The most well-known of these is probably 1987's Spaceballs, which remains one of the most quoted movies with the word balls in the title.
And I see your Schwartz is as big as mine!
I'm sorry for that joke. Now I want you to bear with me for a second, because I'm going to divert my attention to another topic that may seem unrelated to the uneducated, says the person who typed ONA into the script 6 times before figuring out how to hit the spacebar. In 2017, an intergalactic space lord under the name of Lord Buckethead campaigned for election in Maidenhead against Prime Minister Theresa May. That was not the first time he stood against a prime minister. In 1992, he stood against John Major in Huntington, and in 1987, he stood against Margaret Thatcher in Finchley. But when and why did the worlds of Star Wars spoofs and satirical political candidates skid and narrowly miss each other? That is a question of which the specific and odd choices in the wording will become apparent in the next few minutes, as will the answer to that question. In 1987, Mike Lee, the owner of VIPCO, an indie home video label, saw the election as a way to revive his company, which had been killed off by the video nasties hysteria. He chose Lord Buckethead as the main intergalactic space lord for the job, presumably after finding his crashed spaceship. Lord Buckethead originated in the 1984 film Hyperspace, released in the UK as Gremloids, which is the name I will be calling it by because it is objectively cooler. If you were wondering, this is when I get to the main topic of the video, after 2 minutes of build-up. Gremloids is unique not only in that it spawned Lord Buckethead, but also in the fact that it is the first full-length Star Wars parody, having been released a full 3 years before Spaceballs. With that in mind, let's watch the movie. The film starts out with some text on the screen that may seem familiar, which leads straight into a Star Wars-style text crawl informing us of the plot of the film. Princess Serena has stolen essential radio transmissions from an evil galactic alliance known as WHOOP, which apparently have the, quote, most dangerous and expensive special effects in the known universe. Lord Buckethead is understandably upset about this, so he scours the outer rim for her, landing on a planet he thinks she's on. Apparently he sucks at navigation. I guess you can't pull over and ask someone in space, so it makes sense. While we're on this topic, how is Lord Buckethead able to pilot a spaceship with a bucket completely obscuring his peripheral vision and a visor blurring out his main line of sight? I'm sorry, I got a little out of control there for a second. Anyway, they're light years off course, and I bet you can guess where they land. Earth. It's Earth. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me go back to where I left off. One thing that surprised me about the crawl was that they didn't have any jokes about the actual crawl thing itself, like in Spaceballs. This isn't something bad, just something I noticed. After the title crawl, the film uses another Star Wars trope when it shows blaster fire coming from Lord Buckethead's spaceship. It then cuts to a relaxing scene of 2 men having a conversation and peacefully fishing.
Fishing has a way of making a man relax. I drank to that. Get me another beer. Here, fishy, fishy, fishy. It looks like them harp is running tonight.
Just kidding, they're illegally blast fishing. It then briefly cuts to a nearby house at which there are 2 little boys camping in their yard, which is adorable, before cutting back to the fishermen. Lord Buckethead's spaceship flies over the fishermen, shines a light at one of them, and then flies away. fisherman's reaction to this is priceless. The spaceship flies over the house where the little boys are camping, and they decide to chase after it with a plastic firefighter helmet and a bug net. Also, one of the kids is wearing an E.T. shirt. Apparently they're under the impression that they're going to catch E.T. with a bug net. Anyway, they get to the ship and find a tiny, Jawa-like alien. They think it's E.T., but then it roars, and they get scared and run back home.
E.T.
Once they're home, they trap the alien in the basement and wake up their parents by yelling a lot, which I'm sure their parents enjoyed. They tell their parents that
there's a spice monster in the basement.
But their dad doesn't believe them and blames it on too much sugar.
Honey, I don't mean to criticize, but I think I've been giving these boys too much sugar.
This may seem ridiculous now, but in the 1980s it was common knowledge that excessive sugar may cause children to vividly hallucinate that there were aliens in the basement.
Maybe better take a look.
Their mother still thinks it's a good idea to check, so their father checks. Once he hears the aliens roar, he just nopes right out of there.
Okay.
They wait until it's day to call an exterminator, who the dad tells that there are a bunch of cockroaches in the basement.
What seems to be the problem?
We don't know, really. Just some cockroaches in the basement. No big deal. Come on in.
No problem.
You know, like a liar.
Honey, I think you have something to tell this gentleman before someone gets hurt.
Mom is uncomfortable about this, because the exterminator could get murdered in their basement, but Dad is perfectly fine with it.
Right. Watch those steps down there. It's pretty dark.
Mom ends up guilting Dad into going down into the basement with the exterminator, but when they find the alien, Dad runs upstairs and traps the exterminator in the basement with it.
What about the exterminator?
I think he's got everything under control.
Mom eventually opens the door to see the exterminator being dragged down into the basement by the alien. Dad throws something at the alien and it runs away. Why it ran away, I have no idea. That small object didn't seem very threatening. Anyway, the exterminator drives back to the company building, only for it to be revealed that the alien is in the back seat. Then it cuts to the exterminator, whose name is Max, about to take a test at the company. However, before they do, their professor, or whoever he is, has to rant about how cool business is.
As you embark upon your careers, remember one thing. Business is not just making money. Business is the key to this nation's future. Business is the last real outlet for man's resourcefulness. Business is the sole hope for mankind's evolutionary perseverance. Business is garbage. Business is the most horrible, awful, boring waste of time I've ever come across in my life.
It turns out he doesn't believe any of it and regrets his life choices. If Max passes the test, he gets an executive position at the extermination company. He wants to take the executive position, which is understandable considering that he was just almost killed.
Did I mention that I was almost killed today?
But his professor doesn't want him to take it because...
Try to remember that the only thing that separates man from the lower animals is his ability to take stupid and pointless risks, because he sees more to life than the options readily offered him.
He's not very good at coming up with examples to prove his point, though.
You've got to learn to take risks if you want to get ahead in life, like King Lear.
So I should be more like King Lear?
Of course not. King Lear was a drunken madman.
Then it cuts to Max in his bedroom with this weird silver can thing. I'm not sure what that's about. We get a brief check-in with our little friend in the back of the van before being introduced to Lord Buckethead himself. As he gets closer to the town, it cuts between him walking down the street with his Jawa henchman looking threatening and two very confused bakers. Where's that music coming from? Lord Buckethead enters the bakery and thinks that the baker, who I've just realized is one of the fishermen from the beginning, is Captain Starfighter. Lord Buckethead demands that the baker tell him where the plans are, resulting in a very funny exchange.
The plans. Where are the plans?
The planes are right here, and the chocolate-covered ones are right over here.
No, the plans. I want the plans from the secret transmissions.
Hey, Ma, have we got any plans back there?
No? How about a fritter?
How about a fritter?
What?
How about a fritter?
Seize the fritters!
Eventually, Lord Buckethead gets tired of seizing baked goods and seizes the baker's neck, demanding that he tell him where the transmissions are.
All right. That may be a little high.
Now tell me where the rebel fleet has hidden the secret transmissions, or you shall die.
The baker's confused and afraid for his life, so he sends Lord Buckethead to an AMCO Transmissions, an American transmission repair franchise, down the street.
AA, MCO.
Lord Buckethead tells the guy at AMCO Transmissions that he has come for the secret transmissions, and AMCO Transmissions guy asks him what type of car he has.
We have come for the secret transmissions. There is no use in denying it. We know they are here.
Damn right. We got transmissions every one to make. And what kind of car you got?
Lord Buckethead uses the brilliant strategy found in many sci-fi films known as changing the subject.
And what kind of car you got?
Where is the princess?
He asks the guy where Princess Serena is. The guy at the counter has no idea who he's talking about. He brings out the cashier named Karen.
I got you. Karen? Karen, get out here. Some Martians here want to talk to you. I think the big one there is Lester. Well, I'm going to lunch.
Fun fact, Karen is played by Paula Poundstone, a stand-up comedian and frequent panelist on NPR's Wait, Don't Tell Me. Karen doesn't tell Lord Buckethead where the transmissions are, so he captures her in order to torture her. More importantly, one of the Jawa creatures tries to get a drink from the vending machine.
Hey there, little fella. Now, there's a 5-cent deposit on them bottles.
Then we cut back to Max, who's throwing a folder in his van. The alien in his van runs off with the folder, and Max chases him. The alien calls up some of the other aliens and does what I'm guessing amounts to asking them where Lord Buckethead is, before heading to the AMCO Transmissions garage, where Karen is talking to Lord Buckethead about the local Chamber of Commerce.
I don't even know what you're talking about. But I think you should know the local Chamber of Commerce takes a very dim view of guys putting trash cans on their head and issuing death threats.
I don't know what it is about out-of-the-blue lines about chambers of commerce in films, but they always make me chuckle.
This isn't the Junior Chamber of Commerce, Brad.
Max enters the garage just as Lord Buckethead asks Karen who she thinks is going to save her, and Lord Buckethead starts evil villain monologuing at him.
You obviously underestimate my power. Terminix, man.
Lord Buckethead has his Jawa soldiers lift Max up using the machinery and then torture him with a car battery.
Hey, huh? You know, this really isn't necessary.
Oh, and he insults his nose.
Say, is that your nose, or are you eating a banana?
Karen gets free, punches Lord Buckethead in the helmet, and fends the Jawa creatures off with a wrench. Lord Buckethead thinks that this vacuum cleaner is a droid that they've hidden the plans in, so Max grabs it to prevent them from getting shot, while Karen sprays the Jawa creatures with a fire extinguisher. Max and Karen steal a car and drive off. Lord Buckethead also steals a car and chases after them.
Over there! Accelerate to hyperspace!
Now I'm even more confused as to how Lord Buckethead is able to drive a car with a bucket completely obscuring his peripheral vision and a visor blurring out his main line of sight.
You're at my wrist, you know. Why didn't you punch him or something?
Me? Oh, I would have. I was too busy being electrocuted.
Max sasses Karen before they both get out of the car to go run in some wheat fields.
I have to confess, when me and my friends sort of used to run through the fields of wheat, the farmers weren't too pleased about that.
Lord Buckethead and his minions chase them. Then it cuts to the two fishermen from the beginning of the movie who are being interviewed by the police about their experience. We're introduced to
William Hopper. I'm the director of the Bureau for Research of Astral Phenomena.
And Nails on Chalkboard enthusiast, who is played by Chris Elliott, an American actor and comedian appearing in films such as Groundhog Day and Scary Movie 2. The fishermen start out by telling the truth, but then they start lying. A lot.
How many did you see, boys?
Well, about 2.
33?
2 or 33, somewhere in there.
Well, they kept yelling swear words about the earth and America and country music and stuff.
Country music?
That doesn't surprise me in the least.
Then this big hairy spider monster thing, he come out carrying this great old big space bomb, and he blowed up my damn truck.
Wait a minute. Your truck's outside. I saw it.
We had it fixed. And then the big bug-eyed one came in and said to me, he said, if you don't take us to the president, we're going to drink all your beer. And they did.
Yeah, drunk it all.
Did they try to brainwash either of you?
As a matter of fact, it did. Well, they kept telling me that I was Johnny Cash.
Let's get back to that part about when they force you on to the alien women.
Well, a man's got to do what he's got to do. I think they picked me for my, manly qualities because they wanted to carry on their alien race.
The police are skeptical, but William Hopper believes them and tells the police that they should get reinforcements or else the aliens could destroy the entirety of North America.
Let's just say that you better get some reinforcement in here, and you better get it in here quick, or else you're going to lose this whole town. No, scratch that. You're going to lose North America. These guys can wipe out whole planets before they eat breakfast.
Meanwhile, Max and Karen are hiding behind a tree. Max is complaining to Karen about being an exterminator when Lord Buckethead and his minions sneak up on them.
Oh, no. Maybe we should just try to reason with this guy.
Give me that.
Max thinks they should try and reason with them, but something about the blaster fire convinces him that they should run. The Jawa soldiers chase Max and Karen, but Lord Buckethead steps in cow shit.
Who is responsible for this?
Max and Karen eventually lose them and find a stream. They go upstream so that Lord Buckethead can't follow their footprints. Max complains some more, almost drowns, and then angrily decides to get out of the stream.
I'm sorry. I apologize. It's not as if I have every... Oh, look. I think I've spotted land. Let's go walk on it.
The police and Hopper are examining the body of the cow Lord Buckethead killed. The police chief thinks a prairie dog picked it up and threw it because he saw them do that with a pig once. I'm having a little trouble picturing a prairie dog throwing a pig or a cow. Never mind. Hopper thinks it's aliens because of the blaster hole through the cow, and also because he's a crackpot that reads the National Enquirer.
Do you ever read the National Enquirer, Chief?
But he's having a little trouble getting anyone else to believe it.
Now, by aliens, you mean gophers, chipmunks, and something of that sort?
The farmer isn't entirely sure what aliens are, but he still tells the police to
find them and nuke their butts off.
Somebody needs to tell him the police don't have access to nuclear warheads. Yet. Max and Karen stumble across an abandoned house, and Karen breaks in.
It's locked. Well, break in. Can't just break in. This is private property.
Max makes fun of Spam.
Is there any food?
No. Not really.
I mean, it kind of had that coming. Karen insults Max.
Oh, no thanks. I don't drink.
Boy, you're just a fireball of masculinity, aren't you?
Max talks about how he has to study for that test.
I gotta study. I got a test to take in the morning.
And more of Max's very important backstory is revealed.
Last glass of wine I had, the next thing I know, I woke up and these guys were chasing me through a cornfield with a crop duster. Real nightmare. I didn't know who I was. If I'm not careful, I can end up like my father.
What does your father do?
My father's a magician.
What does your mother do?
My mother makes life a living hell for my father.
Then the entire town holds a funeral for the cow that died, and some very sad music plays.
I have to ask myself the question. Why? Why? Why was this bovine taken from us?
Things start getting pretty intimate between Max and Karen when Lord Buckethead smashes down the door.
Seize them!
You're becoming a real pain in the neck, you know that, Buckethead?
Of course, she means that in the nicest possible way.
You shall pay dearly for this insolence, your highness.
Why don't you just put an egg in your shoe and beat it, pal?
Did you hear that? What a kidder. Of course you know what it's like when you've had a little bit of the grape.
Take them away.
Karen starts getting sassy with Lord Buckethead, so he has them both captured. Meanwhile, Hopper's being interviewed on a hunting and fishing radio station about the aliens. They're taking calls from listeners, but the listeners only want to talk about gun control and deer season.
Hello, you're on the air. Good evening.
Yes, I was just wondering what your views are on gun control.
Well, I'm for it, but I'm afraid that we're going to have to limit the calls tonight to this evening's topic, which, of course, is UFOs. Thank you very much. Hello, you're on the air.
Hello. I really enjoyed the program on rabbit hunting last night. Listen, I was wondering if you heard anything about deer season opening a week earlier this year.
Do you have a question or any information concerning the invasion, sir?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
Thank you.
They do get a couple of calls about the aliens, but...
Good evening. Hello.
Yes, I have a question about these spacemen.
Well, go ahead then.
If, hypothetically speaking, creatures from other planets were living in Lake Lure, what's the chance of them spotting any freshwater trout or maybe catfish or...
Good evening. Hello.
Well, if if the UFOs landed and stuff, well, would we have to be friendly to them, or could we just kill them for fun, like with a high-powered bolt-action Remington 222, or maybe even a semi-automatic Winchester 30-06 single cartridge? Huh?
So I'm already 20 minutes into the video, and I'm only halfway through the film. I could continue going and make a video that's anywhere from 40 to 60 minutes long, but I don't want to wait for 10 hours while my video renders and processes. So what I'm going to do is split it into 2 parts. I'll be uploading the second part in early August, so you can go watch that when it's up. In the meantime, you could watch the video I made last month about glam rock, or you could watch the full Gremloids movie, if you've gone this far into the video without watching it. See you on part 2. Goodbye.